Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to our last M3 Power Hour of the year. Okay, first of all, how did that even happen? How are we December already? It almost feels like this year just flew by. What an insane year, I must say, in the least, okay? I feel this is the year of pure reflection, a year to look back on and see what we've learned and what we truly want to bring with us into 2021 and how we want to go into 2021s. We want to go into it with new beginnings. And let's move on. Let's move into the new year with the ultimate letting go. Letting go. So 2021, letting go. And in order to let go and go into the new year, what does that mean? We need to let go of our past. We need to let go of limiting beliefs. We need to let go of what's not serving us. We need to let go of who's not serving us. We need to let go of ideas, terminologies, the ways that we speak to ourselves. We need to let go of all of those things that have not served us our entire life and go into a new in 2021. Turning over this new leaf, a new chapter into our life and closing the old ones. How do we do this? How do we accomplish this? Right? Sounds easy to say. But the key to accomplishing this is through forgiveness. What does that mean? Forgiveness? Well, let me talk to you a little bit about that. Okay, before I talked about forgiveness, let me tell you to a situation that happened to me. So I was planning a huge event. I did plan a huge event with my team. I picked the day, I picked the time, I picked everything. I chose Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. And I made the flyers and I sent it out. I sent it out to everyone. And I already had over 200 RSVPs. But you know what happened? Then I checked my calendar. I had my M3 Power Hour at 7:30 booked at the same time. What a moment for me this is. This was a moment that I needed to forgive myself. It's okay. We're all human. We all make mistakes. Why are we always the hardest on ourselves? It's so easy to, if I had someone who came to me and this happened to them, easily I would have told them, it's okay, we all make mistakes. Be gentle with yourself. But when it comes to myself, I don't really speak to myself that way. I'm very hard on myself. I go into blame. How could you do this? Why didn't you plan better? You already sent out the invites. There's nothing that you could do. Now you have to be responsible and look at this as a learning moment and a way that you can ultimately grow. So I accepted this. I was like, yes, this is a way I can grow even further. And essentially, forgive myself, right? How come it's so easy for us to forgive everyone, but not ourselves? And once we start learning how to change ourselves, that's when everything changes around us. So when we start changing ourselves, we essentially become more conscious, right? We become more conscious of everything around us. Everything around us, people around us, our inner voice, our inner thoughts. That voice that you hear, whose voice is that? Is that your inner voice, or is that a voice that has been programmed within you? Think about it. Think about it. Do we come into this world with these voices? And how is your inner voice speaking to yourself? My inner voice is full of blame, not trusting others. Do you do that too? It's so easier to blame ourselves than to put blame on other people, because now we're responsible of our actions. And when we're responsible for our actions, it makes us feel more secure, right? But if we learn to trust people around us, this is how we can actually make something beautiful together as a team. And this is something I had to learn, how to be more conscious in my life. Not just saying conscious, being conscious of approaching every moment of my life with complete awareness. And where is that coming from? Why is this person in my life? Awareness on all levels. So, as I was saying, the main way how I deal with this is practicing forgiveness. So, let me talk about this for a little bit. Do you remember the game Tug of War? Okay, so this game, you have a rope, right? And you have both people at the ends. They're pulling on the rope. And if one person lets go of the rope, doesn't the rope fall? So that means it only takes one person to let go of an issue for the issue to resolve. It only takes one. So let's practice this forgiveness exercise together, okay? Picture it can be a situation, it can be one person, it could be a collective, it can be yourself. Picture this situation, and we will do this exercise 3 times a day for 30 days. I challenge you to do this exercise for 30 days leading up into the new year. See how you feel. See how that energy shifts around you. Okay? So let's do it together. Okay? Picture the situation, the person in front of you. Let's begin. We are all children of God, children of the Most High. We all make mistakes. We are all evolving. I forgive you for your mistakes. I forgive you for hurting me. Humbly, I forgive you for your mistakes. God's blessing be with you. I salute the divinity in you. I salute the highest power in you. Peace be with you. God's blessing be with you. Go in peace. I release I let go. Cut, cut, cut. How did that feel? Does it feel like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders? Not yet? That's okay. Keep doing it. Keep doing it 3 times a day for at least 30 days. See how you feel. See how the situation has changed and see how your perspective has changed and how your body feels after you've done this. Okay? Please message me and let me know how you guys are all feeling after this forgiveness exercise. This has truly changed my life as a person, my business, as a collective entirely. You know, I love the saying that forgiveness, when we hold on to anger, it's like we are drinking a poison and we're hoping the other person passes away. You can't hold on to this anger. You can't hold on to this pain and hoping it hurts someone else. We need to forgive and let go. And it starts with us. It starts with us. If we want to be forgiven for a situation, we need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves first. It all begins with us. The self-work with ourselves is the most healing work ever. So, this is another issue that I've had major problems with my entire life. Working together. Working together is something I didn't understand at all. I chose no team sports my entire life. Give me track, give me tennis, give me any sport that I can accomplish by myself. And if I don't succeed in them, you know who I have to blame? Myself. I only have myself to blame. That is always how I love to approach things because I'm like, now I don't have to rely on anyone. Teamwork, if they don't do well, I don't have to blame them. I could just blame myself. And that didn't work for me. I didn't understand about working together. And you remember when I was telling you about how I double booked my event and my M3 Power Hour call? Well, you know what I had to learn through that? I had to learn trust. I had to trust my team. I had to trust them. They've got it. I set it right into motion. I couldn't go back on my word. So I had to trust them that they could lead it. And it went beautifully. I had to learn how to trust others. It was so difficult. Let me tell you, it was really difficult. I had a hard time learning how to trust people. I was brought up that people would always hurt you somehow and they don't have your best interest at heart. But I was so closed off in myself, blaming myself. Once I started opening my heart and seeing that I can trust, I can learn to let go of all of my own limiting beliefs and learning to trust. And the more we trust each other, this is how we can build collectively. This is how we can build our empire together by trusting each other. I come from an all-girls school, okay? And you know, women against women, it was always so detrimental for me. And I always had this upbringing that, you know, they never had your best interests. Having trust towards women was the hardest thing for me to ever establish. But once I started establishing and understanding that we could do so much more great together and accomplish so much more together than alone, my whole outlook changed. I always thought I could do everything by myself, with myself. I needed no one. But that's not the truth. Deep down, I wanted people. I needed people. I just didn't know how to do it because I had my own limiting beliefs. I had my inner voice telling me not to trust people. But then I started thinking, who is this voice? Is this my voice? Who put this inner voice there? So let's talk about my story. Okay, so my story actually began 12 years ago. Okay, I used to work in research. Okay, and during this time, okay, I'll give you a little bit of history of myself. I'm an overachiever, but it's not that is who I am. That is who was created. Being an overachiever, being a type A personality, these were the thoughts, the ideas that were put onto me, you know? Like I grew up in a family that when I got 98%, that was never celebrated. It was always, well, where is the 2%? You know, so it was, I always had this idea of how can you be better? Never good enough in my mind. And, you know, thoughts like this. So I'm working in research. My goal is to go into surgery, right? Because I want to help people. And during this time, I developed eczema, aura migraines, GERD, and Crohn's. So I go to my doctors and they just keep prescribing me medication and it's increased the dosage all the time. And I told them, okay, guys, let's like try to find a solution. And when I mentioned this to them, it was, they were looking at me like I had three heads. And finding a solution was not part of what they were even thinking about. They were like, solution, Tas? No, this is your new normal. This is your life. There is no solution. And for me, I didn't even understand what that meant. And you know what? More importantly, let's look at the way they made me feel. They made me feel so small and insignificant. And I wasn't being heard. But during that time, I learned how to regenerate my cells and myself. And here I am, 12 years later. I have no more aura migraines. My eczema is gone. Crohn's completely dormant. GERD completely gone. All of my issues, and I'm on no medication for over 12 years. But when I went through my healing journey, you know what happened? I didn't share it. I didn't share my journey at all. And you know why? I felt so much shame. I felt almost embarrassed, like it was my fault that I became sick and I got myself into that state. So why would I share it? How would people judge me? What would they think of me? And you know, we're always so critical of ourselves. And this criticism of myself didn't come from myself, right? It came onto ideas that were put onto me and that I was being taught as a young age. When you're little and you have these stories said to you or these ideas and these voices, is this your inner voice or is this someone else's voice? I know for me, it was my mom's inner voice that I would hear, that became, that I thought was my voice that became part of my inner talk, my inner critic, my inner self. So after I had my son developed eczema everywhere. He would go to the bathroom 8 times a day, and he would develop what I recognize as Crohn's. Here I am going through this all over again. And how do I feel? Shame. Everyone's blaming me. What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? I was completely lost. Everyone was blaming me. The medical system, my family, myself. I was feeling blame everywhere. I didn't know what to do until one day I was told, have you ever looked into glyphosate toxicity? Glyphosate toxicity? I've never heard of this word, but I took a look because I looked at all the ingredients and this was natural. So let me try it. And my son, after 3 days, became himself. He became himself. He was no longer this little boy suffering on me and my husband. You know, when our kids are sweating, crying, he became himself, happy, joyous. All of his issues went away. I've never been happier. So from that moment, I'm like, I need to share. If it's not for my journey took longer to share because I felt so much embarrassment and shame towards that. But at least sharing my son's journey first propelled me, because I was like, if there's so many moms out there who don't know about what's out there, they won't know. And if I didn't know, there's probably so many millions of us who wouldn't know and don't know. So it's my duty that I have to share this with so many people today. So for me, I had to learn new tools, I had to work on myself. To be able to share this message, I had to work on myself and what was keeping me back from sharing it. So let's talk about another tool that helped transform my life and my business. The color code. Have you guys ever heard about this? Okay, there's 4 colors. There's a red color, there's a yellow color, there's the blue color, and there's the white color. So what I love about the color code is that it not only teaches you what color you are, but to learn how to communicate with other people, because this whole business is all about relationships. It's all about relationships and learning how to develop communication styles. You know what? I didn't know how to speak to anyone. I did not know how to have a conversation with anyone. Doesn't that sound intense? But this was my reality. And you know what? When I did this color code test, it was a really profound test. It brought me back to my childhood. It brought me back to memories that I had blocked. It brought me back to a certain period where, you know, when things happen in your life, you like block them off, you black them out, you're like, they never happened. Well, this test made me reevaluate those time periods, and I had to unleash them to answer these questions. How was I as a child? How was I? How did I feel in those situations? It was really, I had to explore moments of myself and evaluate, how was I? What kind of person I was? And it gave me huge moments of reflection. And essentially, those moments that I had blocked, that's what shaped me into the person I am today. How I talk, how I think, and how I talk to myself. How we talk to ourselves, right? So, by doing this test, what did I find out about myself? I am a red. I am very much a red on the color code test. I'm 80% red and 20% blue. You know, reds, I'll tell you a little bit about reds. Reds are driven by control. They love leadership opportunities, productive and efficient. They value the opinions of others. They need to be respected, factual, direct, and they have no fear. Have no fear? But what does that mean? I had tons of fear. I had fear that I didn't even know was mine, fears that were created for me. But reading the color code, it didn't just validate or make me understand the person I was, but it taught me how to communicate with others. Okay, so as a red, how can I be more compassionate to my fellow blue? How can I be more factual in numbers to my direct whites? How can I bring joy and fun to my fellow yellows? It taught me how to develop my communication skills, right? Isn't this essentially what it's about? How can we form better relationships and how we can communicate with others? So I learned all these new tools, and these tools are what helped me shape my business. They helped me start to understand what drives people, and more importantly, why they are driven. And it was all in my approach. Who knew? And how to keep moving forward, balancing a busy mom and business. And when was a huge pivoting point in my business. So when I say that, I mean when we have kids at home, right? We're homeschooling, we're cleaning, cooking. I feel like I'm making 12 meals a day. With homeschooling and cleaning, it never ends. I feel like I'm doing the job of at least 10 people. How can I find the time? Where was I going to find the time? I had to find new communication skills to work to help pivot my business. How do I do that? So I started doing time blocking. What does time blocking mean? Well, it means working smarter, but not harder. And balancing your day with your working hours. Okay, so let's get out a piece of paper. And write down what your day looks like. I want to know what your day looks like on every day. So are you balancing your day with your working hours? Does it seem balanced to you? Are you doing laundry? In my house, once the kids are up, they need breakfast and it's go, go, go. I have to cook and then homeschooling begins. And as I said, it feels like I'm cooking 10 meals a day. So you know what I started doing? I started waking up 2 hours earlier, 2 hours before the kids wake up. And that has changed my business so much. So instead of us, how many of us go on social media and we're scrolling, just a couple of scrolls, and then we're like, what? Where did the time go? Where did the time go? Well, you know what, guys? We won't be doing that anymore, okay? We will be doing time blocking. We won't be doing endless scrolling. We won't be chatting with people who is draining our energies. When we're on Facebook, we have the ability to unfollow people. So this is not unfriending them. You're still their friend, but you can unfollow them, okay? So then you won't see their feed. Once you go on Facebook, you'll only be focused on what you're there to do. And once I started doing this, you know what happened? Less distractions happened. I was more focused. And on Instagram, you know what you can do? You can mute. This is turning your notifications off and muting them on Instagram. So this is not unfollowing. This is just muting them. So you won't see everyone's post because it can be so distracting when you go on Instagram or Facebook and you see everyone's post. So we need to eliminate these distractions and become more focused. Let's turn off what does not serve you. When you're doing laundry, when you're in the bathroom, this is the best time. This is the best time to have follow-up calls. Our best ideas happens when we're eliminating. And you know what? When we're doing laundry, you can send voice messages. I love voice messages. You send that instead of texting, you can accomplish so much more through voice than texting. Right, so I spoke about turning off the notifications on Instagram, muting, and this can make your time so much more productive. Time blocking, follow up on the toilet, guys. Follow up on the toilet. As I said, elimination is the best time you have mental clarity. You can do it. And imagine how much more productive you could be. If it's only 10 minutes of your day, let's make this to be the most productive 10 minutes ever. Write your list. Follow up. You can't just wake up and not know who you need to follow up with. Have a list and then check it off. I always say this. This is my favorite part, is that when I follow up with someone, and they're not interested, you know what I get to do? I get to cross them off my list. How brilliant is that? That is teaching you how to use your time more efficiently and use your time wisely and profoundly. So let's start using our time better, okay? Time blocking, all of these tools, and you'll see how your business will grow and change. So work-life balance. Typically when you're home from the office, you turn into home mode, right? So you have, let's say now you're working outside the office and you come home. Now you're in work mode. Your workload is different, right? And you're home, you're making supper. Why don't we not turn off our modes, but we make Purium part of our life? What I've noticed is that Purium only amplifies the skills we already have, okay? So let's start incorporating that in our everyday life. We come home, now we have to make supper for the kids, right? And while we're doing that, why don't we just incorporate something Purium? If you're sauteing those mushrooms, add some apothecary inside. I heard by a fellow council member, Rebecca, that apothecary is amazing in sauteing anything. So why don't we start incorporating this in our life? And you know what? Now we're not just, Purium is not a separate part of our life. Purium is our life. This is a lifestyle that we need to show people. This is how we live. And by showing this, now we're setting an example for our kids. We're setting an example of how to empower, respect, and love yourself. And your kids see everything you do. It's not what you say, it's how you do it, how you react. They watch how you're doing it, not what you're doing, right? So now we can show them how we do it. And you know what I love to say? Purium, it's not Tas Purium. Tas is I am Purium. Purium is an extension of my arm. This is who I am. I am. This is my lifestyle. Let's not make this something separate. We are. We embodies us, right? And then the more you involve the kids, make a recipe, let's make this part of our life and let this flow. Once we make it organically in our life, our business starts to flow. Okay, this is another tool that I really like to use. It's called the Wheel of Life. The Wheel of Life. Have you ever heard about this? Okay, well, it's a self-assessment tool. I posted the link there. So here you have this chart separated in 8, okay? And look at it and see how you balance your priorities in your life. And if it seems balanced, because the more it's a circle, the more balanced you are with your priorities in life. But if the environment to the business is not equally balanced, your flow won't be balanced in your everyday life. So let me tell you about mine, okay, about my priorities in my wheel of life. So this is how I look at it. This is how we have to incorporate it. The wheel of life. My business is Purium. My money is Purium. My health is Purium. My best friends are in Purium. My husband's in Purium. My business began with him, actually. My personal growth is definitely Purium. My fun is in Purium. And physical environment? How are we serving others? It's Purium. This is my ultimate work-life balance. Everything is in the ultimate flow. Well, thank you guys, and let's do our Q&A.
So any questions, please? Screen broadcasting, there we go. So now this is the Q&A session. Any questions? How did we feel after the forgiveness exercise?
We'd love to invite people to come off of their camera and presentation mode's off. So we'd love to see you and greet you. That was awesome, Tas. I learned a lot and thought a lot and was able to process some of these great questions that you have. And what a wealth of a resource tonight for reflecting and going into the new year. I really appreciated it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carmela. That means so much.
Agreed, my friend. We, as all of you are popping up on video, if you don't know who we are, the three of us who are talking, we're all council members on the Million Mom Movement. I'm obviously Jody Parker, it says so on the thing, but they can tell you we had a call today and the council asked me to do something and I nearly cried because I went, I don't have time and I haven't homeschooling. Yeah. So I want you guys, everybody on this call, to know that none of us are superheroes and you shouldn't expect yourself to be a superhero. And we are the people, these are the people I rely on when I'm in that mode. And we want you to have that in this community. So if you're having a day like that, because I can't be the only one, let us help you. Right? Because together we are our strength. So I want to throw that out there and invite you guys to share.
So I think Crystal had a question. Crystal, I unmuted you.
Oh, awesome. Hi. Yeah, I had a quick question. In regards, you said your little one's temper changed. I have a Scorpio child who's quite fiery, and I'm curious, maybe this could be something I could help her with. Like, how often were you giving the biomedic to your little one, if I could ask? Because I've noticed since daycare, they're giving her a lot of toxic GMO foods, and her temperament is completely shifted to, I hate to say mean baby. It's not my daughter anymore. And I want to cry saying that because she was the loving, most kindest individual. And every time I like detox her body with just healthy whole foods and organics, she comes more alive. And it's my kid again. So I'm trying not to cry and say this, but like, how would you help a little one in that case? Because she's only 3.
Well, 3 is a perfect age, you know, and it's so sad to see our kids, how they transform like this. Yeah. And we can do something. We have a solution to give them and to present to our kids, because they don't need to be living through this suffering. They don't need to be. So I would open a biomedic and put it on his food. But now we actually have the Epigenius. We have the Epigenius kids. So you can give your daughter the Epigenius.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, like what your routine was for your little one. Exactly what did you do where you started seeing like massive transformation? Because I was literally praying for this, like, what can I do for my little one? I'm like, oh my God, I've been sitting on the solution the entire time. And I've just been so busy unpacking with the move that I wasn't really tapping into what she needed in that regards. But I knew something was wrong with her diet, and I had thought about it. But yeah, if you don't mind sharing, like, would you give it like twice a day, like 2 pills broken up over food?
I gave it to him once a day, and I opened it over food, and I cut out gluten. I cut out gluten from his life as well, because the more we understood that it's not a gluten intolerance, it's a glyphosate toxicity. So I started making healthier choices. I only looked to green foods and organic foods, only organic foods. And that really changed everything in our life. And anything that was, any company that was linked to a company that I was against, like Cheerios, Monsanto.
No.
I would always look and follow the money and see where the company was linked with, and I didn't support anything to do with them, because even like Garden of Life, they would write organic on it. I don't trust them because I know their money trail, right? So the more we
oh my God, I want to
deeper,
validate you. I used to take Garden of Life and I would get so sick. Okay, thank you. I don't take them anymore. And you just like totally validated why I wasn't allowed. I went to pick up a bottle. My spirit guide's like, no. I'm like, why not? Wow, this is crazy. Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, mommies, we know we have this extra intuition that I feel with environment and life and everything, we start suppressing. We stop listening to ourselves and our gut intuition and what is best for our children, for our families, for the greater good. So I think we have to get back to that. And the more we clean our vessel, because this is just our vehicle. This is our vehicle today. Once we start cleaning this, we become clear. So now we have the tools of how to even help our family on a deeper level, right?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for that, because that was really educational, very inspiring, and confirmation there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Okay, Raquel, I unmuted you.
Hi, everyone. Again, this is Raquel. Tas, I just wanted to tell you how I can relate to you. I also dealt with endometriosis and Crohn's. And I remember my GI doctor telling me that changing my diet wasn't going to do anything. And I remember crying home and telling myself, no, that's not true. And I'm going to do anything and everything to prove her wrong, not that I wanted to prove her wrong, but it was just, it was the way she said it. It was so mean and, it was so hurtful. And I prayed because none of the medication, all that steroids, all that stuff wasn't working for me. And then I thought to myself, I'm a guinea pig. And if I'm going to be a guinea pig, I said a big, huge prayer. If I'm going to be a guinea pig, I want something organic and something natural. And I pray for it. And I'm so blessed that Tevya invited me to, join to this beautiful community. And I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you for your story is so inspirational. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Raquel, for listening to yourself and jumping on this journey with us and building this mission with us. Because what you said, that the doctors make you feel small, this is something that I need to bring awareness of. Because if I was in the back end, I was in this field, okay? And if they made me feel this way, how about every other person? And I feel that it's their mission to make us feel insane. You know, they want us to feel this way because when we feel this way, we make ourselves small. We make ourselves small and we trust. We trust everything they say because that's what I did. I would say, oh, do I take grapefruit with this? One time a day, two times? Like, what? No, they weren't even giving us tools to start thinking for ourselves. They didn't want us to think for ourselves. And that is, we need to start empowering each other in bringing our power forward because we are powerful and we have such a strong voice. So thank you so much for sharing that, Raquel.
I'm going to just toss in there, just FYI, doctors are not trained in nutrition and they are not trained to look at the body holistically. You have a podiatrist and you have a neurologist, and a chiropractor will tell you if your ankle's out, your neck will be out. But the podiatrist and the neurologist are not talking to each other and seeing it as a whole system. And so they are very well meaning, of course, and they have amazing training and they save lives, and they are not God and do not know everything. And it's okay for them to be both. And it's okay for us to say, my experience is different and I'm going to pursue based on what I'm seeing in my own world. So allow yourself to stand in that power.
And to talk on the point that Jody just made, that is exactly what they were doing with me. Like, if you just break down what I was going through, I had I had the migraines, then I had the GERD, then I had like it followed, you know, and then the eczema came after. Everything just followed. But my neurologist would never speak. Like, they were never linking, never. It was like my brain was a floating brain by itself. You know, I'm like, but am I not all connective tissues? Shouldn't we look at our body as a whole? They were not looking at the body as a whole at all. If you have a pain in your shoulder, maybe something happened in your leg. You know, you need to look at the body like this. There's different responses that hurt different pain areas. You can't look at individual areas. And in a medical field, you're not taught anything about nutrition. They don't even believe in it during my time.
I want to add the Chinese medical system absolutely has that connection to where the points in the leg are relative to the kidney, and the gallbladder is in the face. And so if you actually follow 3,000 plus years old, that's where I had very similar story, Tas. When I was a child, I had terrible inflammation, eczema. I was hospitalized thrice, and they pumped me full of steroids. And then when they couldn't figure that out, then they went to diagnosing me with ADHD and ADD and giving me Ritalin and Adderall, and my parents didn't go for it. We were done. So I went into Chinese medicine because I said nothing was connected, but with what they had said, there's got to be deeper answers. And that's where the root cause, when you look into holistic, you can find it. And it's very connected to our herbal medicine, our herbal formulas that Dave Sandoval has created for us here. There's Asian, there's all kinds of herbal medical and Native American. So there's a really wonderful formulation through our Purium system that I just grew to love. And it's so effective and gentle. So it's not aggressive with how it might flush out or detox and cleanse, but it's gentle, but it works. And it's really transformed the way my eczema has been, my arthritis, and just inflammation in general. It's been what I have relied on for the past 6.5 years, and my whole family will always continue to use it for that same reason. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for that, Carmela. I know when I was little, it was normal to be constipated. It was normal. But if you were constipated, it was just, your body was like, no one even thought anything of it. Suppositories, oh, you need it. It was normal in my family. How is that normal? You know, as a parent, I'm like, this is not normal. We have to start thinking about what we were taught that was normal that's not normal. Yeah, yes, Crystal. All the time. So guys, please, I welcome you. I welcome you to unmute and share. This is a safe space and this is a sharing space.
Hey, this is Camille. This is my little boy Dace. He's kind of wild right now, but I loved what you said about the color wheel, and I've never heard of that. And I'm going to look into that for my business. But you had mentioned it being a tool to, help read how other people are. So in the website, does it talk about how you're able to have that kind of discernment, or does like how you're able to tell in those personality types that you're talking with?
Absolutely. Okay, so the color code test. So it's colorcode.com. Okay, this is really, it pivoted my business. So when I start building a relationship with someone, I make them do this test. I send it to them. I'm like, I need to get to know you more. Can you do this test? I'm curious to know, what color are you? And when you do the test yourself, you start understanding people. And you know what happens, Camille? You start looking at everyone as a color. Like, oh, that's a very yellow. So you can even figure out what type of color they are even before they do it. But when they do it, the color code test, then it solidifies. And now you know how to speak with them. You know how to approach them better, because blue is a very emotional color, right? White, it's very factual. Yellow, they love fun. They love the community. So now you have a better perspective in how to communicate and how to speak with people. And you get to learn what drives them in their business and their life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Please do.
Great tip.
And I would even have your spouse do it, because then you know how to talk to them too. I mean, all relationships.
For sure. He's actually in grad school for marriage and family counseling. So I think that he would be really intrigued by it.
And when you do the test, and there's a small payment that you could do to get the full assessment, they tell you how you are with every color. So this was amazing for me, that I got to understand, okay, this is how I have to approach someone who's so emotional. This is how I have to approach someone who's so factual. So it really gave me an insight that I had never learned before anywhere else. Anyone else? This is our time, guys. What's one of our best takeaways of what I spoke about? What did everyone love?
So Tas, I have a question.
Yes.
So I know that you struggled with sharing your story and, becoming more visible on social or whatever. So what prompted you, or how did you finally make that decision to just, what, this is going to, excel my business. So why am I not sharing this story? Because you had to make a big leap because you were so private about your issues.
I think starting to realize my inner voice and where that was coming from. Because my inner voice was so toxic that I would always just criticize myself. I thought I was to blame for everything I had. And in my family, we wouldn't share things like this. It would always be, oh, it must be your fault. It must be. So I would never share it. I always thought someone would judge me on it. I had this, it's my fault. Are you judging me because of it? So I felt so much shame of that. But when I started connecting and building a relationship with individual people, they were like, oh my God, that's such a powerful story. You need to share that. And I'm like, really? You're not judging me? I would be so insecure about that, of how should I formulate it? How should I share it? But it's until this happened with my son, this propelled me that I needed to share it. Because you know what? It was no longer me. It was him. It was him, and it was other families must be going through this. And I would never want to see any child ever suffering. So because of his story, this is what propelled me and my story. Then I started to release it. I started to release it, I started to heal my own situation. I started healing the inner thoughts, the inner self. And that's when my business really grew. I was okay with failing. I was okay with not being this perfect person that I thought I needed to be.
Yeah, just because I know you on a deeper level, and I know you're kind of like that type A personality, and I know that's really hard for you. So I commend that, and I really I admire that trait, and able to, just put it all out there. And that's something that I'm not willing to do, but I just wanted to acknowledge that I admire that.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And just a little background about me. Like, I come from a Brazilian background, and we eat a lot of meat. Like, my family in South America, in Caracas, they own all the butcheries. Okay, so they own butcheries. And for me to go plant-based, they were like, what? Like, I didn't make any sense to them. Leaving the medical community and going plant-based, they did not know what to do with me, you know? So you have to become really strong within yourself and find your purpose. And I'm telling you guys, like, this is my purpose. And I finally found my voice, and I no longer will ever play small. Naya, are you unmuted?
Yes. Can I speak?
Of course.
Okay. This was wonderful as always. Everything Tas touches turns to gold. Clearly you went through all of that for a reason, right? And so thankful to hear your journey through it all, because we all have similar things that happen to us or our loved ones or whatever. But just before the other lady spoke, when you asked about what spoke to you the most in regards to, this amazing Zoom that you're offering us here. So what kind of reached out to me was when you were talking about that inner critique and learning to detoxify that. Because for me, I have been normalizing pain and discomfort forever, and that's outside of gut related to me, even a part of from that, because like we mentioned where it actually came from, because I don't remember being young and born with certain thoughts and stuff like that was kind of transferred on to me due to whatever upbringing family members had and whatnot. So I have let all of that go. It is hard to do, and what I love about this whole community, my past weeks have been a lot stronger because of this community and having that me time with my gut and listening to how I feel when I have Purium products versus when I have gluten, for example. I can feel the difference. And I just love how you also mentioned about being gentle with yourself and, taking whatever time you need to get through whatever you need to get through, because once you, like you mentioned, when you know something is not right, that's when changes start to happen, in a sense. Like, you're just, so I just want to say that I appreciate this. It was very powerful. You truly are a shining bright diamond in my eyes, and I'm so thankful to even come on here, because like days are hard sometimes. Like I think her name is Jody. I think like she was mentioning something, she wanted to cry. Like when I first spoke to Jody, that's what I did. I was like, but I just want to say, like, all of this as a total, I don't really have it all together yet, but it all makes sense, and that's all that matters. And I'm so thankful that I get to ride this wave with some top-notch people who are so vulnerable and transparent, and it does bring my trust level up, because when you had mentioned like the women not trusting, you heard those things growing up, don't trust this person. I have similar things too, so I'm so used to being in control of things, and trusting your team is not something that has been a reality in the past. But I just love, like you're always, I don't even know you personally other than Purium, but you're like one of the few people I message and you respond right away. Like, and you don't waste no time. I never feel left alone. And if you are busy, there's always somebody else as well. But I just want to say that, because I'm talking too much, and I love and respect this hustle. Well, not hustle, because it's not struggle, but this whole process and journey with you guys. So peace, love, and light.
This growth.
Yes,
this
growth.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Jody.
I just want to toss one thing in here after Rachel brought that up, and Naya, thank you for sharing that. I think what many of us as women suffer from is not seeing who we are and not allowing ourselves to be that. And so if you are that person who is struggling with telling your story, or is struggling to move forward with this, just remember, I had a cousin who was like the odd one out, and nobody ever teased her, but they always teased me. And my mom would say to me, it's because you don't accept you, and therefore they don't. And when I started standing in my own power and going, I don't care if you disagree with me, and I don't care if I don't resonate with you, this is who I am. And when you set that, like, this is who I am, the rest of the world will adjust to, oh, that's who Jody is. And that fear, that shame, that guilt, all those things that we carry with us, that goes away, because it's not reflected back at you anymore from the people who are around you. And so this is a great example, and I think everybody on here will be able to relate to this. There was a sitcom in the late 90s called Dharma and Greg. And it was, do you guys all remember that? Everybody know Dharma and Greg, right? And Dharma was me. I'm Dharma. Like, she's eating herbs and she's making concoctions and she's saying, just do this, and you need to clear your chakra, and you need to be this person. And here I am, this mother in a homeschooling community of very religious people, and I'm Dharma. And I finally realized that it was okay to be her. And I would actually say to people, hey, remember that sitcom Dharma and Greg? And they go, yeah, I saw that. I'm Dharma. And they would go, oh. And suddenly I was accepted in this community that I was the odd one out. And now everybody comes to me when they need a natural remedy. And I'm not the weird one anymore. It's just, that's who Jody is. And when I accepted me, they accepted me. And so the journey always begins within. The change always begins within. And so if you're struggling with that, ask yourself, where are you not accepting you? And that is where you're going to find your answers.
And I would love to add that none of us have it together, okay? We just have to put one step forward every day. Little steps every day make a huge difference. So being gentle with ourselves, Like, it's such an easy term to say, but to actually do it, and say it's okay. Like, I always picture myself talking to someone else. You know, when you would talk to yourself, maybe you would be a harsher critic of yourself. But if you would talk to someone else, like I would tell Jody, I would be like, oh, you've got this. It's so easy for me to say it to someone else. So easy. To myself, I'm like, no, I would not say. It's harder to say it to yourself, right? Exactly. So picture someone else, but do it in front of a mirror to yourself. These are little steps that can help the process. And the more we become real with ourselves, in hearing ourselves, in learning about ourselves, this is all growth. This is us becoming who we really are. And we are in the right time. This is a time of reset. We are going into 2021, guys. This is huge. Okay, everything that's happened in the world, we are preparing ourselves. We are ready. So thank you, everyone, for being on today's call. Rachel, am I correct? Are the time up? Yes, okay. Because I'm like, we could go another half an hour. Well, thank you, everyone, for being on today's call. And this is the last M3 Power Hour till the new year. So happy New Year's, happy holidays, and grow. Bye, everyone. Thank you.